Hello and welcome to episode 51 of I'm Fine, a chat between myself, Damo, and a man of many hats, both literally and metaphorically.
Yes.
Mark, hello. Let's chat around the subjects of... Put your phone down.
No.
Is this better be for research?
It's me being
rude.
It's me being funny.
I'm working here.
No, I'm being funny.
Carry on with your bit.
It's
a chat around the subjects of health, wealth, well-being, fitness, sports, and out-of-our-depth philosophy, as I'm calling it. We're all work in progress, and this podcast is no exception. In short, it's a poke at our perfectly imperfect lives, and if we can make just one person feel like they're not alone in all this madness, then our work here is done. Make sure you don't miss any episodes by subscribing to us via your favourite podcasting app. And if you know someone who you think would get something out of this pod, then please let them know. Spread the word for us. We'd be very grateful. And remember that you can get in touch with us on email at imfinecast@gmail.com. Coming up, Warm Up and Stretch got catch-ups and bookmarks, work-life ballet, little follow-up to the truth.
We didn't do the whole truth and nothing but the truth, did we?
There's a whole load of truth.
Yeah.
In Brave Food, we're going to pick up some... It's kind of on the truth tip, isn't it? In terms of myths.
Yeah, we hadn't realised that till you said it then,
Yeah,
but you're
myths
right.
and myths around...
Yes.
I've got kind of food, training... nutrition advice, influencers, there's a bit of all sorts in there, isn't there? Is that fair?
Yeah, don't believe the
I've got all
hype.
the words in there, just not in the right order. Right, how are you? That's a bit of an odd start, but we're here.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Good.
Trained today, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Chest and triceps.
You said on a couple of podcasts ago, this podcast is a mask for your melancholy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite poetic, if anything else.
Thank you. I've said to you before about
you
PTing being an acting... when we brought in little lovely Lorraine Kelly, didn't we, and saying how...
Oh, yeah. So when you say, well done, Damo, on lifting that, you're just acting.
Yeah, it's a pre-written script.
Well done, Damo.
Yeah, I have to... I think I've
See
mentioned
you
this.
next
No,
time.
I've mentioned this. I've mentioned this on a pod. I have like 12 phrases that I have to drop in every hour. You're doing great. It's all you.
Yeah.
This is so much better than when you started with me.
Now you come to mention it, yeah, it's exactly what you do.
Yeah. No, I think it is a mask. I was surprised you were surprised at that.
Well, it just feels like it's such a kind of public and open kind of forum. In fact, the mask didn't feel like the...
I don't think I've
you're not
I've
veiling
hidden
anything.
the fact that I'm hardly Mr. Jumble.
You're hardly
Mr.
hiding.
Jumble the clown, am
Yeah,
I?
but you're not really hiding behind anything here. It's literally coming out naked, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess that's what I was thinking of.
I listened to a podcast the other day, and the two people at the beginning weren't in the best of moods, and they shared that.
Right. Like I do, but you go, don't bring it down.
Yeah.
Cheer up.
I think this is the point I'm saying. You can speak about melancholy or sad or things that give you angst in your life, but you can still do it in a sort of upbeat way. There was something I read the other day. Let me just say this.
I've had a shit day today.
Party poppers. No, I read something the other day. This was interesting. It was about a particular personality disorder, and this person was talking about it and was saying, I can be happy, I can enjoy people's company, I can be laughing and smiling, but I can be absolutely overcome with melancholy and sadness at the same time. They are not mutually exclusive. Yeah. And that's what I think the point I was trying to say is that, we can have the banter and the laughs.
Depression isn't always a visible thing, i.e. you have to look sad or be moping around, or you can still be, I guess, you can seem upbeat and chipper and putting on the mask or the veil or the hats, talking of hats. But underneath you can be an absolute wreck.
Yeah. I sometimes just have some random dives into social media. I'm trying to be a lot more selective. I'm trying to, like we've had this discussion before, I'm not trying to dig out stuff that's going to make me feel a certain way or see images that aren't, particularly either for this or for my own sort of just curiosity. There are certain things. And this was around the Caroline Flack. It's a year today, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Be Kind, yeah.
Okay.
And so Twitter was full, as it was a year ago, of be kind and, don't make fun of mental health.
Yeah,
and then ironic, the whole thing
Twitter,
gets,
isn't it? Saying that.
Yeah, and then the whole of Twitter then gets trolled. And someone had made the point about Meghan and Harry announcing their baby and having a press release of this black and white photograph of them basically laying in an orchard.
Yeah, she's lying on his knee or lap or something.
It's very sort of Romeo and Juliet-esque. And what the trolls were saying is you don't want any publicity, but you've given this to all the newspapers that you're also suing for invading your privacy. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, it's staged, wasn't it? It's not,
it was
not like
staged.
they just caught them in the garden. Yeah.
Yeah. But the point that other people are saying is...
They're very well orchestrated, aren't they?
Yeah, but I think this was the things about being mutually exclusive. You can still use the press that you...
You can. I guess there's also controlling the media as well, so it's on your timeline.
Yeah.
And you're giving them something so they're not spreading bullshit.
Yeah.
Back to the...
Yeah, you've got the control, haven't you? But I can see how people think it's
it doesn't
hypocrisy.
Excuse them to go, right, that's carte blanche for us to go through their private life or voicemails or letters or...
But Piers Morgan...
And then the press do that classic thing, well, you want to use it, and, it's like, no, there is a line.
Yeah, they don't want you going through the bins. That's draw the line.
But as we've kind of established, and we'll kind of come to this in a minute, but the line of where, truth, morals and ethics... Yeah. It's a very murky world, isn't it?
And I think Piers Morgan, who seems to have quite a grudge against Meghan or the couple as a whole, was saying, well, basically criticising them for this. And I think what happened is that
they're easy targets, aren't they?
Yeah, but the whole be kind thing was like, it's suddenly you can't even just say, let's just be kind without everyone then going down all these roads of not being kind.
Yeah,
it's almost like, it was right at the beginning, I don't know, I think this was about the second or third podcast, made that idea if everybody in the UK said two nice things to, in
that's
a day.
That's our first podcast, isn't it?
First or second, definitely, yeah. And there's 130 million nice. But even this thing about be kind, and, a young woman has died because of mental pressure, taken her own life, and yet somehow everybody still has to have some angle on it. Yeah. There were very few tweets that went, God bless her, she was a beautiful woman, she was kind, she was this and this and this, and because of the way her life was turned upside down and the lies that were told about her, she took her own life. And we should be looking at that instead of trying to win point civility. And some of the tweets, one tweet was, I will always remember her, especially because she died on my birthday. Yeah, right. And it's like, no, that's happy birthday, hun. It's where was I going with this? So I think the kindness thing was coming across that. Yeah, even a year on, people find it really hard just to stick to being kind. It was,
Yeah, they do. Yeah. I think we got away with the last episode. We had an incident, didn't we, halfway through? Yeah. We had a shutdown. We had a system shutdown.
Your sound effects was so good.
That was kind of a bit of a celebration that everything was all right, really, because I was just terrified. Everything I had to dig the files out, and when I listened to the back, I thought we got away with this.
I thought that IT failure or IT crash was as similar to you as like headphones and socks were to me. It's like a near-death experience, isn't it? You were fraught. You were like...
I've had it before in work where we've been working on a big, like either packaging project or brochure, 150-page brochure or annual report or something.
And then goes.
you just have that panic where you think, have I just saved? I've lost it. It's just quit on me. Yeah. Can't remember the last time I saved it, or worse, it just disappears. You can't find it. It's horrible. Or you delete the wrong thing off the server, or it's the feeling is horrid.
But you rescued it well. It's good.
Yeah, it's weird because it's because it's a different media. I get to that point where we actually had a good episode, and I was literally thinking, we can't recreate that. There's no way on earth we could do that again. We'd literally have to just write another ep, wouldn't we?
Yes, there was no way.
We don't write it, but
you couldn't have second. Well, all the spontaneity would have gone.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, we couldn't have done the same thing. Ha ha ha! That's hilarious. I haven't heard that one before.
What's the singular of confetti? I know. It's confetti.
Give me a minute. Yeah, we couldn't have talked about having an ice cream on your shoulder. I was thinking about having Gremlins in the machine, right?
Yeah.
And this will kind of make sense in a minute. But I thought, where's that? I just thought of it. We had a Gremlins. I made a note to talk about it. And I wrote Gremlins in the machine. I thought, where's that come from? Because I just thought maybe it's from the film Gremlins. But I thought Gremlins probably older than that, because that was like the 80s. Yeah. Right? So Gremlin is a folkloric mischievous creature that causes malfunctions in aircraft or other machinery.
Okay.
Which I didn't actually know.
But it's always in the machine. It isn't Gremlins in the... Yeah, it's in the machine, isn't it?
In the daffodils. No, it's always it's in machinery. So depictions of these creatures vary. Often they are described or depicted as animals with spiky backs, large strange eyes and small clawed frames that feature sharp teeth. Since World War II, different fantastical creatures have been referred to as gremlins, bearing varying degrees of resemblance to the originals. The term gremlin, denoting a mischievous creature that sabotages aircraft, originates in Royal Air Force slang in the 1920s among the British pilots stationed in Malta, Middle East and India, with the earliest recorded printed use being in a poem published in the journal Aeroplane in Malta on the 10th of April 1929. And I didn't know it had such... there's posters. World War II, which we'll put this up on the socials. World War II Gremlin-themed industrial safety poster, which kind of says, Gremlins think it's fun to hurt you. Use care always. So it's basically, just be careful in the works.
I suppose they've gone out of fashion a
bit,
bit, though, haven't they, in terms of other... I mean, leprechauns have stayed in. They're the same sort of family, would you think? They're mischievous.
But this is the link I was talking about. Gremlins were popularized by Roald Dahl. He's credited with getting the Gremlins known outside of the Air Force.
Yeah.
But of course, he was in the Air Force. He would have been familiar with the myth, having carried out his military service in 80 Squadron of the Royal Air Force in the Middle East. Dahl had his own experience in an accidental crash landing in the Western Desert. So in January 1942, he was transferred to Washington, D.C. as assistant air attaché to the British Embassy. It was there that he wrote his first children's novel, The Gremlins, in which gremlins were tiny men who lived on RAF fighters. In the same novel, Dahl called the wives of gremlins Fiffinellas, their male children widgets, and their female children flibbertigibbets. Now, I've heard of the word flibbertigibbets, but didn't know where it came from. Dahl showed the first manuscript to Sidney Bernstein, head of British Information Service, who came up with the idea to send it to Walt Disney. And you can kind of see how it... But I didn't realise it came from him.
Talking of Walt Disney, you see, there's a few things I need to pick up there. So I'm going to go... This is going to be the quick fire round. You know when you get the question right in University Challenge, then you get 3 others?
Never. I'm thick.
So ones you've mentioned. Daffodil bulbs, poisonous. People die from eating daffodil bulbs.
Who the hell eats daffodil bulbs?
Right, I thought you'd say that. I got a text not so long ago on the very
someone,
subject.
Mark, I've just ate a daffodil bulb. Help. Please send help.
Because the supermarkets have said that daffodil bulbs have got to be kept away from the vegetable section.
Hold on a minute.
In case people buy them and think they're edible and then get
people
ill.
Don't, do they?
Yeah.
Why should we worry about these people, honestly?
Well, a friend of mine ended up in hospital after eating some. If I just show you.
This was something I was going to bring up
in
another episode.
What do they look like?
Look like onions.
Yes. You know them.
I would have eaten that. They
Yeah.
look like shallots.
Yeah. So a friend of mine ended up in hospital after eating some. He's not usually in the kitchen. Thought they were onions, put them in the stew.
Is this a real story? A friend of yours? I'm basically laughing at one of your idiot friends.
No, he'll be out in the spring.
Very good. Oh, you got me a kick.
I reeled you in, didn't I? Reeled you in.
Big time.
So anyway, no, but they are poisonous. So health warning to everyone out there.
Right.
Just say no, kids. Stiff to sniffing glue. So that's number 1. Number 2. Oh, I think I've forgotten everything I was going to say.
Oh, come on, you can't do this again.
What was the end
you
bit
need to
you
write
just
shit
said?
Down.
Yeah, I know.
What's the matter with you?
Well, just do your last little bit after Gremlins.
Talking Gremlins.
Walt Disney. So when I worked in the prison, I used to do some work in Shepton Mallet prison, and it was for lifers.
Right.
So everybody in Shepton Mallet prison was serving a life sentence except one guy, and I never worked out why this one guy wasn't.
Right.
I mean, I think there must be like a lot of jealousy, wasn't it? Like, when you're getting out, never. He must have just gone swanning from cell to cell, looking very,
Smug.
So Shepton Mallet is built in a sort of square. So there's a courtyard in the middle, and then the cells are on either side. So you couldn't for a lot of the cells, you couldn't see any living thing other than other prisoners.
Okay.
So we brought plants into it because it's a really strange... If you actually just think about it, you look out your window, all you can see is a building and a courtyard. You can't... Cloud was about the only... I mean, they're not alive, I accept that, but the only sort of natural thing you could see.
Yeah.
But there was a guy in Shepton Mallet prison called Walt Disney who was in charge of the museum. They had a museum.
Whoa. Was that his real name? Or was that his
real
nickname? Nickname? The Nick... No? Does that not work?
No.
No, he's in the Nick, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, no, that's funny.
Yeah, it's too late.
Yeah, you could visit.
But it was his real name. No, it couldn't have been his real name. He was called Walt Disney.
Just put in Walt Disney Shepton Mallet prison. Wouldn't be a trustee, would it? I could be making this up. I don't think I am making this up.
Oh, God, I think it's come up.
I think he looks quite Walt Disney-esque as well, if I remember.
I just googled. There's too many things coming up about Walt Disney and Shepton Mallet. I haven't got time to go in that, so I'm going to have it as a bookmark.
Okay. We'll come back.
It looks suspiciously like it's a thing.
If Google's flowing over with them, there could be a
my
grain of truth in it.
computer's brimming with...
So anyway, Walt Disney showed me round the museum and some other dignitaries.
Right.
And it was basically just all the different ways they used to torture prisoners. So it was just like rat books, and because Shepton Mallet's a very, very old prison. And then when we went on the tour of the prison, we came to this wall, and it was like a pitted wall. And he said the prison was used by American servicemen in the war.
Yeah.
And basically, if they were accused of doing something like, a bad crime, like murder or rape or something within the local populace,
Right.
they put them up this wall and shot them. Like a sort of summary court-martial. The Americans
This thing was in
shot
the prison.
soldiers. Yeah, this was in the
So they
prison.
brought them in there just to shoot them.
Yeah, and it just felt you'd entered this surreal position where you're in a medieval prison watching a war where American soldiers were shot while Walt Disney sort of like put a sort of like
Did he have like an
fairy
umbrella?
tale.
Just even like put an umbrella up and walk off? Right, next, off we go. Everyone follow me. Come on.
I thought you meant like bedknobs and broomsticks.
I just meant as like a tour guide.
Yeah, I guess you couldn't get lost.
That is
could you?
surreal.
Mm.
That is surreal.
So it just came into my mind that.
Yeah. I've got. I don't want to. Do you want a serious one or do you want a playful one next?
Whatever's
Well,
next.
you've just been talking about torturing people, so let's go with that. I normally have to
Okay.
edit your torture stories out.
I wasn't allowed to tell my other one, was I?
No, we've recorded it.
Yeah, but you haven't played it yet.
No.
No.
That's one for the archives, and it's staying there.
Yeah.
I think I might have to destroy it in case anyone finds it.
Parental advisory.
So here's a question for you, Mark. It's quite serious. No, genuinely,
Okay.
why do we advertise racists and homophobes?
Why do we advertise
Why do we
them?
advertise them? Example, right? So whenever footballers get racial abuse on social media,
We repeat it.
we have to repeat it. What do you do for knobhead bullies? You ignore them. All they want is
Attention.
it drives me crackers. You know, Marcus Rashford will deal with the racist thing he deals with it in his own way, but everyone then has to make the news.
Yeah.
Then everyone Match of the Day talks about it. It's like, why give them the time of day?
Yeah, it's a good point.
I'm not saying brush it all under the carpet, and the same for homophobia as well. It's just like, even sportsmen and women have come out, and it's just like.
And it becomes copycat, though, doesn't it? Once it's happening, then there's a preponderance of it, and then it'll go away.
Yeah,
but it's the pack mentality, isn't it? If someone does it, someone else goes, "Well, that's funny, I'll do it."
Then when they're constantly talking about it, we have to do something about it. We have to do something about it. It's like, well, all the racists and homophobes are sitting there going, "This is brilliant."
Yeah.
They're talking about us.
So the only reason I'm not being rude with my phone today, but I was quite hot on screenshots today, and it's
just backing up my argument.
It's backing up your argument. If you don't like something, just take away its only power, your attention.
Yes. Brilliantly done. Thank you.
DJ Fat Tony. God bless him.
He's quite a sage, isn't it? What do you mean, God bless him? Is he dead?
No.
Oh, right. Just when
he lost all his teeth, though, but that's not dying, is it?
Oh, is that drug abuse?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, normally when people say God bless him, they're normally dead, or God bless him.
I think God bless him is like someone who's come up with a bit of wisdom. I'd always God bless
I think they're dead. Oh, well.
Okay.
Yogurt on gardens.
Yeah.
This is your homework. Have you done it?
I have, yeah. Do you want me to see what I found?
Yep.
I didn't do it. I did have a friend.
You've got to bring in. I don't mean to tell someone of your age and stature
the importance of
just being organised, but I think you need to get your little spotty blue and white notebook back.
I have found it, actually.
I think you need to just have it as your pod pad.
Pod pal.
Pod pal, yeah. Go everywhere with it. That's my one. That one. It's all pod there. And look at that.
So this is a true story, and this is going to go.
Is this going to have to edit this one out?
No.
Okay.
I had a friend, an acquaintance
you
in Sheffield. No. It's a yogurt story. A friend,
of course it is,
who had thrush, was told to treat it with yogurt, and treated it with strawberry yogurt.
Oh, right. Well, they didn't specify, did they?
No.
Plain yogurt, I would have thought would.
I guess, yeah.
Right? Did the strawberry yogurt not work?
I've no idea. I guess it did.
So it was just the point. But you found it funny.
I just think it's funny.
That just lick it off afterwards. What? What?
Who would?
Someone who likes strawberry yogurt. Go on then, back to the gardens. Do you want to do?
I haven't done it. I haven't done my homework.
You pretended you had.
Yeah, I do this on my course. I sometimes hold up a piece of paper on Zoom. It's empty, but I pretend to read from it.
You are such a bad man.
I'll tell you what. Okay, this week you'll enjoy this one. This sums me up.
Do they give you the same look I just gave you? That kind of
It's not big and it's not clever.
Yeah.
So this week, at the beginning, we normally do a sort of icebreaker. And remember a few weeks ago, I was saying I tried to make it competitive so I could be best at the icebreaker or whatever. Remember we did that numbers one?
Yeah, I think you've mentioned it.
Yeah, so this week it was, we were told to get a piece of paper and a pen.
That's you screwed, isn't it?
Yeah. And the woman doing it says, everyone got one? I'm going, yep. It's like, I hadn't. But it's like, it's fine. She doesn't really mean I have to have one. But she did. And so you had to think of a song, first song that came into your head or a song that had relevance or whatever, and then write down the lyrics.
Oh, God. I know your songs. The first thing you thought of wasn't it? It was some kind of grime track.
No, it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't. I sat there and I remembered one line from the song, and I struggled to remember very many more. And there aren't very many lyrics in this song.
Right.
So I surreptitiously got my phone, and while I pretended to write, I copied the lyrics down from Google.
Did you make your
Google.
hand look like you were writing as well, just in case?
Yeah, I was keeping eye contact with it, and occasionally I put my phone at my, like, tumour pen, as if like...
Looking studious.
Yeah, because I thought, if she asks for the lyrics and I haven't got them, then I won't win the middle of the parcel.
You won't win the prize that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, the first person came up and said... she said, how did you find that? And she said, I chose the song and it came very quickly to me, the song, so that was cool. And she said, I did struggle on some of the lines, but she said, it's a mindfulness exercise. And I thought, it's not important that I can't remember that line. I'll move on to the next line.
Uh-huh.
And thoughts aren't facts, and I'll just let that pass. And the woman around the course goes, that's a great answer, and well done, said Mark. And I said, very similar. Instantly came to a song. I said the only thing was that I was determined to get all the lyrics down. So I said I wasn't quite as, mindful as Yara. And she said, oh, well done, but, at least you've acknowledged that. And I'm thinking, I just cheated. I just, literally got my phone out.
You're only cheating yourself, you know that, don't
And then
you?
about the fourth or fifth person said, I was really tempted to use Google. And the person doing it is going, oh my God, you didn't, did you? And she went, no, I didn't. And she went, oh, thank God for that. And I'm there going... why did I use Google? But I did make the point when there was a bit of chat. I still thought we were going to be sort of ranked on the, what song have you chosen and how good is it? And does that sound cool enough? And because I thought we might be asked, but they're not going to ask you on the course to sing it or anything, are they?
No, well, you wouldn't. We all know you wouldn't join in.
No, I wouldn't. I just went off on a tangent. I don't know what I was talking
That's
about.
all right, yoghurt.
Yeah.
You can use yoghurt as a natural organic fertilizer in your garden.
No, this isn't
Do you see the inflection in my voice? I hadn't finished.
Oh, like
I'll
I'm
keep
halfway
you on
through
that
a
last
sentence.
bit, honestly.
Yeah. That was a bit dictatorial, wasn't it?
It's funny though. It provides nitrogen and phosphorus to the soil without leaving any harmful artificial compound. You can mix it with water. This is still top tips. Mix it with water, 50-50 ratio, and pour it around roots of the plants once or twice in a month. Not what you were thinking about.
But it kill all the thrushes in your garden.
Back to thrush again, are we? To age a terracotta plant container.
Yeah.
Your face. Or you...
This is up there with verdigris.
Yeah. All you need is some plain yogurt, a dry foam paintbrush. I'm not just going to tell you about this. I'm going to give you actually tips as how to do it. A dry foam paintbrush in a terracotta pot, concrete and ipertufa containers.
Don't know.
They sound posh. Can also be aged in this way, but remember that aging with yogurt works only with porous materials.
Mm-hmm.
Put it on, and then over time it just attracts.
Lichen was
moss.
the word I forgot.
Yeah, or lichen. I'm liking that.
Fact of the day.
Another one. I've had too many.
A well-known feature. Drove through a hamlet the other day consisting of 8 cottages. This was in Wiltshire.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you a description of its name, and you got to see if you can guess the name of the hamlet. Okay?
Okay.
The name is said to derive from rhyming slang for a quick drink. One of its cottages historically being known to serve beer to passing cattle drovers. So, rhyming slang for quick drink.
So it rhymes with quick drink?
No, it rhymes with orange.
Shut your face.
It's a new segment.
Is that an orange joke?
It obviously didn't appeal.
What's the matter with you tonight?
The pun factory, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm not allowed to have jokes.
No. Well, saying hamlet's a cigar. So, a quick drink. Rhyming slang for a quick drink. I'll give you a clue. It's rhyming slang with a quick drink, and it's also a Very simplistic game that you would have played in your childhood with small pieces of plastic.
No, I can't think.
When you get little discs of plastic and you have to try and make them go into a pot.
Tiddlywinks.
Yeah, the hamlet is called Tiddlywink.
Is it?
Yeah, it's only about 15 miles outside of Bristol.
Okay.
How did we not know that? And how cute's that? What's your address? Oh, I live in Tiddlywink. That
wouldn't be your address, would it? Would you say one of the 8 houses in Tiddlywink?
Hmm?
John Tiddlywink, is that all you need? Because
it's
so
8,
small.
they don't know who John is. Yeah.
Tiddlywink UK.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. Maybe keep that one.
Yeah. It's a keeper.
Chuck that in with my torture story when times are hard.
I just have like a
lighten the mood.
Big bucket of kind of, stuff we haven't used down here for emergencies. What we got? Torture stories. We got Tiddlywinks. So we took on a big question in the last one, didn't we?
Mm.
And I don't think we necessarily answered it. We asked the question, does truth really exist? And we had some good points. I liked it. I thought I really enjoyed the last episode.
I did.
I don't think we did have a system shut down halfway through, which threw us a bit through me. But I don't think we quite answered it necessarily. But listening back, it was kind of...
It was valid.
Yeah. It was good. I listened to the Nietzsche quote that you did. Like most things when we're kind of in here, you have to respond to things, don't you? You don't always take it in.
No.
So it was nice listening back to it. And I enjoyed that quote.
Good.
And I understood it, which is good. It can be anything and nothing, truth. Nothing is kind of real. Yeah, because that's how we kind of kicked it off in terms of, why should you, if nothing's real, why abide by laws? But
a lot of the digging that I did when I went away from the sort of traditional philosophical route and looked at some more sort of modernist things, there was a website called futurism.com, and I think I sent just a headline through to you that basically said there's a 50-50 chance that we're living in an illusion.
Yeah.
And I've subsequently looked at other reports, and when I read it, it was just too much for me. I just thought I can't, unless I just read out the whole thing that I read, it just wouldn't serve any purpose. There's no point, we said this right at the beginning of the pods, there's no point us just regurgitating other people's views unless we've either got a view ourselves or, it can add to people's understanding. But this was basically saying, it's a little bit like my hologram theory. I have told you my hologram theory.
No.
Okay, so I know sometimes I might say things to be contentious. I accept that. But there tends to be a degree of truth in them, and lots of other people believe this as well. So I said to you a while ago, we think we're the only life form because we haven't found something else.
Yeah. I
think that goes a little bit from the discussion we had in the last pod. It's almost that we have that sort of belligerent sort of selfish arrogance. Yeah. That's like, unless something comes and demonstrates that they exist, it's like, we're the only form. The point I was saying to you is that I feel that other life forms exist even around us, that in the air could be form. Yeah. But we're not either clever enough.
Energies or...
Yes. Yeah. So is lightning a living thing? But we're only able to... Our truth is that it's electrical, blah, 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 that comes from the sky.
We've talked about, the minutiae as well, haven't we?
Yes.
Viruses and cells and... There's a whole load of stuff going on in there, isn't there? Whole worlds of things.
Yeah. And there's things like clouds. You can, our intellect sees clouds as, a collection of water vapour. Perhaps they are living...
Yeah.
So one of my sort of more naive things was that if, and this came on to some of these things about... are we living in an illusion, was that if we were basically the playthings of another life form that was so far ahead of us.
It's taking your we're being played a little bit further,
it is taking it further. But what they did the experiment that if every human being, they basically said, right, your brain goes through X number of thoughts per second. So during your lifetime, you'll go through trillions and trillions and trillions, and then there's 8 billion people on the world. So they basically said the computer that's needed to create that simulation would have to be powered by a planet.
But
then we're still, even when I was reading this, I was going like, It might not be a computer, though. We're still putting our own
we
human
can only,
thing on. We can only fathom that out if it's
But like, there is an arrogance about the kind of the size of our brains, about kind of how we only use that much of it, but look how clever we are already.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. We're very clever at building things. We're also massively, stupid at in destroying things at the same time, or probably at a greater rate. We shouldn't maybe kind of sitting around patting each other on the back quite yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've still got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Well, when you talk about like alien life, it's always in our own image. They've got two eyes, they've got a nose.
They're just slightly different from us, aren't they? Yeah, not quite as good looking as us.
It's almost back to the uncanny valley thing. We can't possibly imagine anything outside of our own image.
Yeah. Or something that our eyes can't see, as if our eyes, if it doesn't
And
exist unless we can see it.
Yeah, us being created in God's image.
Yeah.
But we're like this, so God's image must have been us. That's kind of a bit of a reverse kind of engineering of, by saying we've been created in God's image, that's assuming God looked like us to make us.
Yes, yeah.
That's quite an arrogant thing to say as well.
Yeah.
He could be an invisible force we couldn't even possibly fathom.
Yes. And to have achieved what he did in 7 days, he probably wasn't just...
He probably needed more than 2 hands and a couple of eyes, right?
Yeah.
He'd need a workshop. I mean, that's...
Or some gremlins.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think it'd be nice to kind of go into that illusion, because I remember you talking about it. Just having a quick squiz. I think there's Buddhist stuff as well.
Yes.
And then Nietzsche's got some stuff on illusion, so it might be quite nice to follow that up.
Yeah, sorry.
In our deeply philosophical way.
Yeah, this isn't deeply. This is just sorry.
A couple of Muppets do philosophy.
Yeah, those two. Yeah. I was just thinking of those 2 old guys on the Muppets who used to...
Waldorf and Stanley. Yeah.
I'll tell you about creationism.
It was pretty good.
No, my bit about the hologram was basically that we were part of a giant Sims.
Yeah.
And that all the interactions were controlled outside.
You do start to think, though, don't you?
It does feel like a big video game.
Because this is probably hilarious to someone, isn't it?
And someone's just won a load of tokens and they've gone, let's have a pandemic. When you're building something, one of the other...
I'm a bit bored of this game. Let's switch it up.
Yeah. And things, and I know this is bollocks. I know. I'd love someone to write in and say it's bollocks, but...
Are you worried that people are going off and believing you and telling other people that I listened to this podcast and Mark said...
Just bear with me for 60 seconds then. Okay, so if we are controlled by a greater force who are doing it either for fun or because they create something out of it, maybe the power of working people creates
like
an
farming,
energy
like
that we're being
aphids.
Farmed. Exactly.
Ooh, we're creating milk for something.
But if you think about it, so if they're there with their controllers, and I keep thinking of the ones in The Simpsons.
You just did something with your hands then. You could like...
No, I was thinking the ones in The Simpsons.
I don't know what you're doing with your hands.
They're
your
like
fiddly fingers.
No, they've just got fingers
Stop
in
it. Stop doing it.
They're like giant octopi. Pussies. Octopus. I'm normally so good on singulars and plurals. Anyway, you know the 2 I mean in The Simpsons.
I'm not a Simpsons fan.
Okay.
I don't know.
Anyways, I'll get to the point.
Please.
So,
if we're being controlled with
if we're being
fingers.
controlled and somebody has gone, oh, I've won 4 tokens, let's have a pandemic, and somebody else has gone, oh shit, I was going to do terrorism, and they're going, oh, you can't play that card because it's pandemic.
Yeah.
I don't mean this flippantly. What has happened to the terrorism?
Good point.
No, and I don't mean it, and I know it's people are going to go, oh, you shouldn't be joking. I'm not joking about terrorism. No, I'm not joking about it. I haven't seen one news item.
Good point. It's a good point.
I haven't seen... we had a rash of them in this country of
I think all the crime has stopped as well.
Sorry?
I think all the crime has stopped.
I think it's not been reported. I think there's a lot of crime going on. But terrorism, and also like natural disasters. I'm sure there are.
Maybe there's lots of terrorism. They're not even... I've just been watching all that stuff in going on in Mandalay.
Yeah.
What a shit show that is.
Yeah.
That's not the only place it's happening in the world.
I mean, I suppose
we've just won a democratic election. Nope, don't like it. That's what it is. That's literally what's happening.
But everything's happening in China and we're still going, that's terrible, what's happening in China? Anyway.
So maybe it is all happening. And with terrorism doesn't have to be bombs, does it? It doesn't have to be blowing up a square or a nightclub.
No.
People are being terrorised literally right this second.
Yeah, that's why I was saying I wasn't being flippant. What I was saying was that the newsworthy ones that we had in this country of people on Westminster Bridge.
But back to what they're deciding is newsworthy.
But there is websites that log international terrorism. And I've looked, and they're really, really quiet.
We looked at Nietzsche.
Yeah.
That was good. We also had on standby, we didn't get to it because our kind of brains were a bit melted, which Joe kind of pointed me in the direction of Jiddu Krishnamurti, and something that's called Truth is a Pathless Land. I struggled with this quote, and then you did a Nietzsche one. I've listened back to it, and I think we can take this quote.
Okay.
So, truth has no path, and that is the beauty of truth. It is living. A dead thing has a path to it because it is static. But when you see that truth is something living, moving, which has no resting place, which is in no temple, mosque or church, which no religion, no teacher, no philosopher, nobody can lead you to, then you will also see that the living thing is what you actually are. That made no sense to me last week.
It's growing on you.
Yeah, like the yoghurt on the terracotta pots. Truth comes from us. It is a living thing. It's a living, breathing, transient thing. It's the quant, which Joe was also in that. You heard you kind of mentioned the quantum, and I kind of went, we can't talk about that now. My head's going to explode.
It's funny, when I heard that, I thought that was her being how I would be like, oh, we haven't got time for this, but she was serious, wasn't she?
Yeah, no, she actually was, and it might be another thing, but this, you're getting into that.
When you were talking about the flat earth believers, what made me think now is that it's changed my view that truth is almost a sort of concrete concept. I think when we started talking about it, like, we'll explain, it's multifaceted, but truth is truth. And it's sort of, truth is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah. It's very much like beauty. Yeah. Beauty changes through centuries in terms of, perfect forms of how people perceive people's bodies, for example, about what's perceived as attractive or fashionable. And I think it's the same with truth, is that I think we started off going, there are certain things that are true, taking that as the most ridiculously simplistic statement. And I think I've come to the conclusion that almost nothing is true, because stuff is so transient in terms of people or what we learn or our beliefs or our attitudes, that truth is like a constant flow. Yeah,
but so it exists, but it's hugely abstract.
Yeah, it isn't concrete. It isn't a pillar. There aren't pillars of truth.
No. I even kind of think about Trump. I mean, kind of making a mockery of what's fake and what isn't. Yeah. But in a way, he's got a point. That kind of flippant, it's fake news. Yeah. That's as valid as anything when you think about it. Yeah. It's not his truth. Well, you can't take his... You might think his truth is absolute cloud cuckoo land, but it's still his truth. Isn't it? What he believes is his truth, like you believe your truth, and I believe my truth. Yeah. That can't be taken away from you. No. I think that's probably what that was kind of, that quote was talking about, is that as long as you're alive, your truth will exist in you. Yeah. And that there is no direct path or route to a fact or to a conclusion. And until we're dead, there'll be no end.
I think what we found today, over the last 10 or 12 minutes, is that we're a lot better. Our punditry is a lot better. Based on
saying, is this a true statement?
No, yeah. It's open.
It's your truth, Mark.
Yeah. I think all we've done is put a big.
I've kind of opened it up again and I got a bit scared, and now I'm closing it back up. Yes. I felt confident to open it up again. Yes. I've opened it up and I feel terrified.
Yeah. And it goes back to the Orwellian thing, that our language isn't even sufficient to explain, is it? It's like we're stumbling about trying to...
Not humanity, just our language. Yeah. There are people who can take this on.
This came from Futurism, the one I alluded to earlier, and they're talking about the illusion of what is true in terms of our world. And so I just thought if I'd read this out, I don't think it's going to actually help at all. I think it'll just mindfuck you. But anyway, the basic idea is that the physical universe exists because we perceive it. It's a sort of mass hallucination we use to make sense of the mathematical relationships of objects. It's sort of lost me now.
Well, it's kind of, we did talk about the kind of mathematics. I put the link to the last one about the video. That's that. It's basically talking about did they exist, or we created them to fit a belief system? Yeah.
So it says, make no mistake, this is a pretty far-out idea, but according to Kastrup, it's gaining ground. To some physicists, this indicates that what we call matter, with its solidity and concreteness, is an illusion. That only the mathematical apparatus they devise in their theories is truly real, not the perceived world the apparatus was created to describe in the first place.
That is essentially the Hadron Collider.
Oh, is it?
I don't know, in my opinion.
Okay.
Out of my depth, big time here. Mm-hmm. The Higgs boson particle. Right. Complete theory. They built that dirty, great Hadron Collider in Switzerland.
Yeah.
That cost, more money than, actually probably
Your car.
with less money than the track and trace system.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, that with enough looking for it, they found it.
Okay.
So as soon as you read that,
that's what came to your mind.
That's literally what came to mind. It's that if you look for something hard enough, you'll find it. And it's a little bit like neural.
So it's a physical representation of a concept. Is that?
Yeah, but there is that idea, and I will have to kind of look this up. But that idea that, a bit like the mathematics, have they found something that goes that makes sense of my abstract idea? Now it's not abstract because I've got something physical to whether that's maths or whether that's some science, or I found a substance.
Yeah.
Is it called God's particle? Isn't it? I think that's what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, they thought it might exist, and they went and found it.
Mm.
That could have been the biggest waste of money, but it wasn't. So you start to think, if you look hard enough, will you find something? I need to do some reading.
Yeah. Some editing.
Yeah. As always.
So this came about from a discussion, a sort of ongoing discussion I've been having with you over the last few days around some social media feeds. And without going into detail about it, it reminded me of something that I've spoken about before around my approach to being a personal trainer, but I think it's also probably relevant to a lot of people's approach to their own jobs. So, for example, if you go to a doctor who specialises in nutrition and you present as somebody who's morbidly obese, it's likely that the approach taken by that doctor will be different from someone who has no interest in nutrition or no training, but has an interest or something in another field of medicine or works more on mental health or whatever. Okay, what I'm saying is a lot of people's advice is going to be based on either evidence that they've had from other people or their own beliefs. So going back to the old vitamin D, no doctor ever in the history of my life has said to me, where do you get your vitamin D from?
Yeah.
Now, I think if I went to a doctor that had a specialism or had been doing some reading or was part of some of the groups or had been part of the trials, he might go, oh, I've noticed that. Or, for example, if you're a doctor that works in a very poor area where you see a lot of children with rickets, that is from a vitamin D deficiency, I imagine you are likely to have a much higher awareness. So the point I was saying to you was that one or two people on social media recently, I feel, have been blowing out candles.
Other people,
Yeah, in the hope that theirs will glow a bit brighter. So, in other words, this is my belief. So if I blow out the candles of people that don't believe with me, I'm the only candle left burning.
It's a nice theme. It's another angle of truth, isn't it?
Yes.
If I discredit someone else.
Yes, it makes me truer.
Yeah.
And it does to a degree because
it makes my truth burn brighter.
Yes. And if you categorically say these people are, I was going to use the word soothsayers. It isn't soothsayers. That's more of a positive. But if these people are ne'er-do-wells spreading, lies,
what?
Ne'er-do-wells.
Here you are again.
You know ne'er-do-wells?
No, I don't. I know soothsayers because I've read Shakespeare. But no. Narwhals? What?
Have a quick look up because I always think I'm
you
wrong.
You always
when
get
I
this
say
absolutely bad. I will put the farm on this.
I think it's got an apostrophe in it.
Was it?
I think it means never do well. Just people that just do bad things.
Right. Ne'er do well.
Just taking the V out.
A derogatory term for good for nothing person or a rogue, a vagrant or a vagabond with that means of support. A ne'er do well.
Yeah, vagrant like the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the point I'm making is, and we've discussed this before, I think certain people or certain groups or certain industries or certain factories will go, you should buy ours or you should listen to me, not only because I'm telling the truth and I'm telling you right, but also look at these other idiots here. So by denigrating somebody else, it does make your candle burn brighter.
Yeah.
So in terms of myths, what I was thinking was, and I think this could be an ongoing, because you were saying in a text to me about life hacks and maybe, continuing our takeaways, is that I thought it would be worth just going through one or two things, I guess, to sort of debunk certain things and say, on some things that, as far as anything can be, everything's open to interpretation. The sort of throwaway line. So I'm just thinking of, say, the big argument maybe between carnivores and vegans. Once you've taken the side, if you're a carnivore, it's pretty hard to go, well, actually, they have got a point on a few things. And if you're a vegan, it's really hard to say anything other than they're destroying the whole world and methane and blah, blah, blah.
Because some of the best people who are some of the carnivores that you hardcore carnivores that you follow actually are quite good at going, no, here's a really good point over here. I'm not a vegan, but they've actually, they're quite humble, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, some
that's
aren't.
really interesting.
Some are just going to put it down. So this was the example I was going to give. So this particular guy today, a vegan had posted something and saying, look at the calories in this. And it was in an Impossible Meat Burger. Right. And they were saying it's very low in calories or lowish. And then said, compare that to, and they compared it to
a burger.
Yeah, they compared it to a very processed, very high fat, very cheap burger. Okay. So it wasn't comparing like with like, because the carnivores would say, but I'm going for a 5% fat grass-fed, burger. Yeah, so again, you pick your arguments, don't you? But what this person did, and I've just got it here, he just took the post from the vegan person who'd been talking about Impossible Meat Burgers, and he just enlarged it and put it on his post.
Oh, right.
But he took away that it was a vegan burger, and he just put water, soy protein concentrate, coconut oil, sunflower oil, natural flavours. And that's what the burger is. So water is the major component of the burger. Now, that's why it was low in calories. Now, he didn't make any comment, but the underlying comment is, it is low in calories.
And this is why.
But it's made of water.
It's got nothing in it.
A bit of soy, a fat, and another fat. And that was 96%.
Wow.
And then it's got loads of things put into it to make it modified starch.
Make it edible?
To make it edible and also to give it some nutritional value.
Right.
Because water and a bit of fat per se didn't have it. So there's a lot of vitamins put in. So when you look at the final process, it does tick a lot of the boxes. But his point was, but so does a burger.
Yeah.
And I think it's that comparison about, when you go into, I've noticed Marks and Spencer's, when you go into their stores, they'll have basically healthy choices. And because it's vegan and vegetarian, it is seen under healthy choices. They don't put healthy choices over the mince or the chicken.
Yeah, that's a good
point.
It
isn't described in that way.
Yeah.
And it's healthy for whom
that's
and on what.
That's an interesting point. Yeah, I've never thought of it like that.
So there is a bias that because it is vegetarian or because it is vegan, and in some cases it will be, but if it's highly processed.
But on the flip side of that, you need to probably go and have a look at actually what's in there.
Look at the labels.
Yeah. You just take their labelling for granted.
Yes, but if you're walking into a shop that has a massive sign saying healthy choices and you think I'm going to have something healthy...
it might not be.
But you need to read the label and find out what it is. Somebody asked me last week what supplements I took. And I said, whatever I take is individual to me. But I will tell you what the supplements are I take, and I'll tell you why I take them. I thought very, very quickly, I'm going to do this now. Not for anyone to go out and copy this, but just to understand why I take supplements. The reason I'm saying this is that a couple of people recently have been going, there's no need for supplements. You can get all your stuff from food. You can do this and you can do that, which might be the case to them, but to me it isn't. Yeah. So I want to eat approximately 150 grams of protein a day. I cannot do that, or I find it difficult to do that with chicken and salmon. So I have 2 of these shakes, which is 50 grams of protein a day, and I have a bar, which is another 25. So 75 grams of mine will be supplemented because I find it difficult to sit down and eat high protein foods. If you are vegetarian or if you're vegan, it will be harder to meet your protein targets. Now, that isn't knocking people who are vegetarian or vegan. It's a fact of life that no matter what people say, peas, which is one of the major forms of protein supplements, aren't as effective as whey protein. Not knocking, just stating a fact. So if you are on a vegan or vegetarian diet, it is likely that you might need supplements more if you're trying to repair muscle.
Yes.
That's the myth. It doesn't need any further explanation. It isn't a value judgment. It isn't me going one's better than the other. You will just have to work a bit harder. And someone not long ago said to me, well, actually, did you know that this particular pulse or whatever had 15 grams of protein per 100? And I said, if you look, that's when it's dry. When you add water to it, it goes down, and you have to eat an awful lot. Right. So broccoli per 100 grams has more protein than beef.
But you've got to eat it.
You've got to eat it, and once it's cooked, you've got to eat an awful lot of it to get that protein. We might need to check that fact, but I think it's true. So that's myth.
Nah, it's got to be true. It's got to be.
Sounds right, doesn't it? So,
just don't want to eat all that broccoli. Don't make me eat all that broccoli.
So number one is, if you need protein in your diet, taking whey protein isn't a supplement per se. It's just taking it in a different form. That's number one. Number two, I might have mentioned vitamin D. I take between 4 and 8,000 IUs, which is the measure, international units, a day.
As we've already said before, you're dripping in it.
Dripping in it. You know, as well as I did, that when I got my results, I was middling.
Yeah.
And that's on 4,000. I've taken it up to 8 now. I was on 4,000. The recommended daily dose by the UK government is 400. Yeah. So I'm taking 10 times the recommended daily dose.
And you're still not redlining, are you?
No. So that is interesting, I think.
Yeah.
I take magnesium, and again, there's no way that I am either allowed or would say to anybody, go and take magnesium. What I'm saying is I take it. I think it's very interesting to look at magnesium and to look at its different forms and how it can be used. I just think it's an interesting thing for people to go and read about. Yeah. So, for example, Epsom salts that runners back in the day used to go, that's a very, very diluted form.
In my bath.
Yeah, and they have magnesium in them because magnesium can be assimilated through your skin.
I haven't even questioned what it is.
Yeah.
It's just what you do in it when you have a bath.
And it's the magnesium in that has the same effect. Cool. The magnesium I take is obviously of a much higher strength. So again, magnesium has...
Why do you take that?
Why do I take it? And partly because of my heart, partly because of a number of things that magnesium does in the body.
To help my sleeping?
Yes.
I've been taking...
Well, that's the whole Epsom salts thing is, around sleep. And I take collagen. You can take collagen either from beef or from fish. Shellfish, I think, and I use that for strengthening nails, for helping skin and hair. Oh, and the other one, which is the biggest one, is creatine monohydrate. And back in the day when I first took this, it was literally under the counter. It was like, do you want some crack or some creatine? It was banned in France at the time. It was always like really dodgy, and you had to take it in 6-week cycles and then stop it to allow it to leave your system. And it isn't. It's now been, again, I'm not going to be able to say, because I'm not a nutritionist and I'm not a doctor. What I'm saying is have a look at the research. It's one of the most researched. If you look at Examined or examine.com, they've brought together all the research on creatine. It's found to have assistance with cognitive behaviour for children, especially around maths.
So you take it. Look at those lovely big words you come out with.
Yeah, I don't think that's math. That's more literacy. But
you're talking about cognitive. Fucking hell.
Yeah. Makes people moody as well.
Last compliment you're ever going to get.
Yeah. I would definitely read up about that. So 100% health warning. These aren't recommendations. They're just letting people know what I have. And I think it would be useful, depending on your situation, to go and read about those things. A
couple of what I'm calling life hacks.
Good.
I might go through these life hacks and you might go, really? Thank you, Damo. But I thought these might be useful. And it might be something we build on.
Yeah.
Because we're all about winning at life here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Are they what?
Are they your ones that you use?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
But one I've kind of invented all on my own.
Okay.
I wanted to share with you. But
original thought.
Find out they're not actually original. But they're car related. The first one is on the subject of dispelling myths. The first one is just that. Now, I actually saw this on Top Gear years ago. Jeremy Clarkson, when he was doing a test of a vehicle, he wanted to see what range. He basically drove a diesel Audi, I think, from London to Edinburgh and back.
See how far he could go.
Yeah, but at the very beginning of that, he set off really early on a cold morning and said, "Oh, here's a tip for you. If you go to the petrol station when it's cold, and because fuel contracts in cold, you can basically get more fuel for your money."
Okay.
I believed that for years.
Okay.
And I thought, that would be a good tip to put on this pod.
Yeah.
And I thought I'll just check it. And it's a bit of a myth. Now, it is. Well, go on, you're looking at me.
No, I'm not going to interrupt.
I mean, the colder the liquid, the denser it is, and it is true that colder fuel has a higher density. In fact, a litre of cold petrol or diesel will weigh more than a litre of warm diesel or petrol. Since you are paying for fuel per volume, it does make sense that filling in the morning would bring you more fuel for the same price, because there's simply more fuel in the same litre. Some people believe in this method so strongly that they wake up early in order to fill their tanks in the morning, but it's just a waste of time. And would you like to know why it's a waste of time, Mark? Because you are riveted, I can see. Because basically, when it's stored in the petrol station, it's kept in underground tanks, which are insulated.
Yeah.
So basically, it's kept warm. But if it was all outside and it was kept cold, it would actually work. So it doesn't actually work at all. So there you go. So don't worry too much about that. So if you're going out in the morning, think, I'm going to get some more petrol in my tank. Don't worry about it. Have another half an hour in bed.
Yeah. In terms
That's
of
a good
hacks,
hack, right? I'm saving someone half an hour of their life, and what?
So your hack is basically.
Well, some people have probably thought that's a hack. I'm.
Oh, for people that are filling their tank. So what, like army captains and things?
Yeah, I've actually done this for years, thinking I would go to a pet,
Got you.
Or thought it's early, it's cold, I'll go and, or it's cold now, I'll go and fill up. So actually, absolute hogwash. So then I'm just saving people a bit of time.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. No, that is. I think. Yeah. Good.
So my second one is always have wet wipes in the car. That sounds like a very simple one, but it's so handy.
Right.
For spillages, wiping the windscreen.
Yeah.
Bird poo, because it's always good to get bird poo off your car before it starts to kind of knackering your paint. Just a real versatile, cheap thing, easy to have in your glove compartment. Very useful. You're looking at me like I'm an absolute fool, but I'm going to carry on.
I'm just trying to guess what number 3 is. Can I have a go?
This is a really good
number
one.
3. Wear shoes when you walk on glass.
You're a dick.
Yeah.
Right, ready?
Don't pour petrol in your hair.
No, you're just being silly now.
Well, those
this
have wet wipes.
Yeah, that's good. You'll thank me later. You'll thank me later.
This third one better be gold.
What features have you brought to the podcast, Mark, today?
Strawberry yogurt on your bits.
Yeah. So this is my one. I think this is a really good one. I have a couple of vehicles. One is diesel, one is petrol.
Yeah.
Some people, I haven't yet, but some people will accidentally put the wrong fuel in the car. I got into the habit of going, this is my diesel van, I'm putting diesel in my diesel van.
Yeah.
So that's what I do just as I pick up the pump.
Yeah.
And also do my car. This is my unleaded petrol car, and I'm putting. This is also dead time, isn't it? So boring so I did this little thing to myself, and that's the thing. That's my little saying I do to myself as I pick the pump up. I go, "This is my unleaded." Looking at me like I'm a nut. So I'm sharing my deepest and darkest, but this is really good. So just that tiny little bit of dead time, right? Where you're not really thinking about anything, which is normally the reason when you put wrong fuel in the car. Just go, this is my petrol car, and I'm putting petrol in my petrol car. Real simple thing to do. But it just means you don't put the fuel. One of these days, it's going to save me. Look, I can go on the internet and just read all sorts of life hacks, which are absolutely shit.
Those have got to be kept in, seriously.
What's wrong with them? They're good. I hope we get mailbag on it. I really do. Just saying, ignore Mark. He's been a dick. They're really good life hacks. Well done, Damo. Good for you. You stick to your guns, mate. That's what I'm expecting.
There'll be a rush on wet wipes, I reckon.
Yeah.
Get in now. Okay, thank you, Damo.
You're welcome. That's it for this episode. Well done for getting this far, and thanks for listening. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at I'mFinecast, and send your feedback and ideas to imfinecast@gmail.com. And don't forget to give us a 5-star review if on Apple Podcasts, and tell a friend or 2 or 3. In the next episode, a third time lucky on exiting lockdown.
Yes.
We have talked about it before. It's the third time we've done lockdown now, and it'll be the third time we're coming out of said lockdown.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? What are we doing about it? What positive things are we going to put in place to lift the spirits, lift the mind?
If you know something's going to happen, get your butt into action.
Yeah, what are you going to do? And we'll come back with what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We've both got homework for this.
I'll do it.
See you in the next episode. Bye.
Cheers.